This is Chris with Phoenix Gaming. Today we're going to do a deep dive into the core rules. We're going to talk about the morale phase. First thing we're going to talk about is when do you take a morale test, how do you take a morale test, checking for unit coherency, and a brief discussion on unit coherency. When do you take a morale test? Well, morale tests are taken after the fight phase. So after everything's fought and you resolve the whole fight phase, you move to the morale phase, and then whoever's active, whatever player's taking their turn, start with them, and then you alternate making morale tests for all units that need to make them. So you alternate selecting a unit in your army that had any models destroyed this turn. You make a morale test. You make a combat attrition test if applicable, and then you continue alternating until both players have selected all units that require morale checks. Once all morale checks are made, you proceed to unit coherency checks. So how do you make a morale test? After you have selected a unit that needs a morale test, remember that's any unit that had models destroyed throughout that turn, not battle round, you roll 1d6, you add the total number of models that have been destroyed this turn, and if the d6 plus the modifier is greater than the unit's leadership, the morale test is failed. What that means is if you lose 3 models, let's say you lose 3 models, okay, and you're playing Space Marines. They have a leadership of 7, but their sergeants have a leadership of 8, and you will always use the highest leadership available in the unit as long as that model is still on the table. So as long as your sergeant's on the table, you're going to use a leadership of 8. You lose 3 models, you roll a d6. Let's say you roll a 5. 5 plus 3 is 8. That is not greater than the unit's leadership, so you pass. Nothing happens. Now let's say you roll a 6. A 6 plus 3 is 9. That is greater than the leadership. That means the morale check is failed. If the morale check is failed, you remove 1 model from the unit and you proceed to a combat attrition test. When a unit fails a morale test, they remove 1 model, like I said, and then you count the number of remaining models in the unit after removal. So going back to that example, if you have a 5-man squad of Marines, you roll a d6 after losing 3 of them, and you roll a 6. You fail that because 6 plus 3 is 9, which is greater than 8. You remove 1 more, so you lost 3 to casualties, you lose 1 to morale, and then you count the number of remaining models, which would end up being 1. So you'd roll 1 die. If the unit is at half strength or more, then you roll a number of dice equal to the remaining models, and every die roll that results in a 1 causes you to remove 1 additional model. If you are under half strength, you subtract 1 from the die rolls. So each die roll of 1 or 2 results in an additional model being removed. Now, obviously, there's armies and there's rules that help mitigate or prevent this or make it worse. So Gretchen, for example, have an inherent +1 to their combat attrition. No, -1, sorry. Gretchen have an inherent -1 to their combat attrition. So even when they're over half strength, Gretchen run on 1s and 2s. And then if they're under half strength, they'll roll on 1s, 2s, and 3s because there's no cap on that modifier. Space Marines can ignore any and or all combat attrition modifiers, so they'll only ever run on a 1. And then once combat attrition has been completed, you move to the next steps for morale phase. Okay, so we're going to do an example again. We're going to start at the top and walk you through it. I know I kind of did them as we went, but now we're just going to start at the top. We have 10 Orc Boys. They are leadership 6, but their knob is leadership 7. So with a knob of leadership 7, let's say we lose 3. We now have 7 Orc Boys left. Okay. We roll a d6, and let's say we roll a 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 is greater than 7. We remove 1 model, which leaves us 6 left in the squad. We now roll 6 dice, and every die that is a 1 results in another Orc Boy fleeing from the battlefield. And again, had we lost enough to bring us under half strength, it'd be 1s and 2s. Again, once attrition has been completed, move on to the next units for the morale phase and then complete the morale phase. Checking for coherency. After removing models in the morale phase, you got to make sure all your units are within unit coherency. So if it's 5 or less models, they have to be within 2 inches of one other model in that unit. And if it's 6 or more models, they have to be within 2 inches of 2 other models. You also have to be within 5 inches vertically of said models. If somehow the unit is outside of coherency, you must remove models from the unit until it is within coherency. So you can actually intentionally remove casualties in a way that breaks coherency. Just know that you're going to be removing those models later. You're going to have to fix that, whether it's through morale or whatever. And there's reasons to do it. There really is. So you cannot end any type of movement outside of coherency. If the movement would take you out of coherency, then it cannot be made, and that includes all charges, pile-ins, consolidation moves, and heroic interventions. So you can't intentionally move a unit with some sort of actual movement to be outside of coherency. And models that are removed because of coherency do not trigger additional morale tests, but they do count as destroyed, but they do not trigger any rules. So if you have to remove models for coherency, you don't get to, say, like fight on the way out, for example. And that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this and found it informative. I wanted to do this video because, again, I do see a lot of people kind of asking about morale and combat attrition and how it works, so I wanted to make sure we did a quick video to touch on it. I hope this helps everybody. As always, our Patreon tiers, $1.50 for hatchlings, mentioned on the Patreon page. Firebirds, $5, 24-hour early access to all content and ability to vote on future content. Phoenix, $10, all of the above, and a Phoenix Gaming sticker sent to you. Immortals, $20 and above, all of the above, and a Phoenix Gaming shirt sent to you, and a special shout out at the end of the video. And our special shoutouts are still Captain Too Tall and the real Donnie G. Again, the support's been awesome. I actually just ran my first tournament after the fire, and it went extremely well. I'm going to do a video kind of recapping that experience. I didn't play in it. I didn't have to. I had an even number of players, so I didn't have to play it. I got to only ran it. And because of the support I've gotten from these gentlemen, and I know who they are, that's why I can call them gentlemen. You know, I was able to bring 6 tables worth of terrain to the event, and then the rest of the terrain was filled out by terrain that was owned by the store owner or the venue that we did it at. So I'm super excited. We were really able to get a lot done with that. I appreciate it. And man, you guys rock. Again, thanks for watching. Find me on Twitch, man. Twitch.tv/Phoenixgaming.space. We live stream every Thursday, a full 40k game, 2,000 points. We also do some hobby streams, Tyler and I. So I hobby stream on Monday, he hobby streams on Tuesday, and then any other day I can ad hoc, I will. And again, Patreon, patreon.com/Phoenixgaming.space. Anything you do there is only going to support me in running events. So if you like going to events, consider supporting just so you can kind of, support the people who are supporting the hobby that you love. So thanks a lot and have a good day.